Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and time to get started. Before we get started, let me just take care of a couple of things. If you would go into the bubble at the top of your screen and replace your, I'm sorry, not the bubble, the silhouette of a man, and replace your viewer number with your name. Then when you ask a question, I'll know who you are. Don't even have to use your real name. I just prefer not to refer to you as viewer number 32. Next is, before I mute your audios, can everyone see the screen clearly? Good. Outstanding. All right. Very good. Go ahead and mute the audio. Okay. Most of us have used SendWire Buddy. Some of us haven't. And I'm going to go through all the steps for SendWire Buddy because they're the same exact steps that we're going to use for Buddy Enterprise. And some of you who came a little bit early, you saw some account creation going on. But I'm going to go a little bit backwards because since we all already use SendWire and hopefully we've created some accounts with SendWire Buddy, I want to spend the majority of the time we have together on the IFTT section because everybody's excited about they're getting Buddy Enterprise. And one of the key components of Buddy Enterprise is, of course, the IFTTT section. So without further ado, I'm going to blow this up just a little bit here. And if we go into the IFTTT section, this is the part we're going to talk about the most, the add RSS recipes to IFTTT. And this can be very confusing, but we spent some time greatly simplifying it. And I'm going to make this very simple for you to understand. And I'm going to do that starting off by pirating Bradley Benner's graphic. Everything except these circles around these is Bradley's work. And so I guess I'm going to give a plug to his IFTTT training, Semantic Mastery. I'm going to use some terminology here to make things easy for everybody to understand, something you can relate to. We don't have to talk about Tier 1, Tier 2, domain authority, etc. All right. We're going to make it simpler than that. We've made it simpler than that in the software. So here we go. I want you to view each one of these networks, and the networks are inside each of these circles, right? These circles represent a family, all right? And the parent is the person who's in the center of the family. So in this case, the parent is from this place called Tumblr, and over here, the parent is from this place called Blogger. And over here, the parent is from this place called WordPress. Now, anytime that you want to go visit another family, anytime you want to pass information to another family ring. Somebody is saying no audio. If you have no audio, you have to join in the upper left, choose. Okay. Is everyone hearing me okay? Good, thank you. All right, so everything inside a ring is a family, and these are the parents, okay? Everything outside of the ring is either a grandparent or a cousin. And to go outside of the ring, to connect one ring to another ring, one family to another, we have to use RSS. I don't know where that beep is coming from. It's probably notifying you that we're recording this. I'm just taking a guess. All right, so if we go back to our little robot here, viewer 27, no audio. Let's see, if we go to our robot here, and we go into our section here for add RSS recipes. This is the most complicated part of the entire process. It's incredibly simple. We have a place here for you to enter the RSS feed of the grandparent or other relative. Remember, that's who is outside that circle. So this over here can be a grandparent or cousin of this. This can be a grandparent or cousin of this, but it is not part of the same immediate family. All right. Let's go back here. So up here, we're going to put that feed for the grandparent or other relative. The parent, if they want, they can feed everybody inside directly or with RSS. Okay, somebody's not seeing my mouse or pointer. Let's see, I did that again. Okay. This WordPress can communicate to all of these either via public recipe or via RSS, okay? But it can only talk outside the ring. Any of these can only talk to another ring via RSS. That tone is very annoying. So here we put the RSS feed for the parent, if that's what it's going to feed out to the children. If it's going to talk to them via RSS, we put that feed here, all right? And then we have to use subreddits. For those of you that are familiar with Reddit, Reddit is broken up into subreddits. Subreddits are categories, and right here I tell you where to go find the subreddit. And it's not highlighting for me, but it's when you look at the program, you'll be able to read it. All right. So what you do, you put the grandparents RSS here, you put the parents RSS here, you put the subreddit here, and then you just pick out the nationality. Is the parent a WordPress, a Tumblr, or a Blogger? Click the button, and that's going to build all of your RSS recipes. Does everybody understand what I just said, or do I need to repeat it? Put it in the chat box, please. Is it pretty clear, or should I go over it again? Okay, so I've got 3 basic questions here. Some people missed audio. All right, I'll go over it from the beginning. I've broken this down into simplified terms that everybody can understand, everybody can relate to without learning some new technology. Every one of the circles here, and I'm going to try not to use my pointer because you may not see it well. Every one of these circles here represents a family. All of those on the outer edges, on the inside of the edges of the circle, those are the children in the family, and the parent is in the center. So we have one center here that happens to be a blogger, one center here that happens to be a Tumblr, and one center here that happens to be a WordPress. And then there's YouTube there. If we want to connect one circle to another circle, one family to another family, we have to use RSS. Now, anybody outside of that circle is outside your immediate family. So, they are cousins or your grandparents. The people in the centers of those are your parents. Somebody asked a question in a minute when I go to the drop down. They said, why doesn't YouTube have an RSS there? And YouTube can pass some information via RSS, but it can't pass video via RSS. All right. So generally what you want to do is you'll use public recipes for YouTube to communicate with the children in its ring. If you wanted what is in YouTube to go directly out to another ring, you could do that with RSS, but there are better ways to hook that up, and I'm going to show you a couple. Now let's go back to the software for just a moment. Okay, so in this top box, we're going to put the grandparent or other relatives RSS feed. By the way, this can be your WordPress blog's RSS. Okay, they would be outside the ring. Then we put the parent RSS feed in this second box. Somebody said they don't understand the subreddit. If you're using the Reddit property, Reddit is broken up into categories. And if you're going to post to Reddit, they want to know what category it needs to go in. And so you go to an address that I can read, but you probably can't, which is http://redditlist.com. And that will take you to a list of 5,000 main categories for Reddit. Okay, so you're going to put that main category in there. And then on this, you're going to choose the nationality of the parent. Is it Blogger? Is it Tumblr? Or is it WordPress? Okay. And then after you've done that, you're going to click this button that says Connect My Family, and it's going to go out and create all the recipes that are in that ring. Now, was that a little bit clear? Let me see if I've... All right, somebody's saying, show us an example. All right, so a typical WordPress blog would look like this. We're going to say that the WordPress blog is outside the ring. And a WordPress blog's RSS feed typically is just /feed. There are some exceptions, and we can talk about those. There's some good plugins out there that will allow you to create a custom scenario there. And then whatever the parent feed is, all right, depending on, and it's going to be different, but let's say you had a Blogger feed, it may end in /RSS. And I guess somebody wants some explanation about subreddits. So let's see here. All right, so this is a list of subreddits, and here's one for politics. And so in this case, what we would do, if this was about politics, in the subreddit, we would put the /r/politics. Let's see. Someone's asking, what if you don't want to create the recipes, but just the IFTTT personalized accounts and set up the accounts in IFTTT? Well, you can certainly do that. But if you set up those accounts and you don't have recipes, they're not going to be propagating information. That's the whole point, is the recipes propagate the information. But there is absolutely no reason at all. I mean, this doesn't create the account because you put this here. You have to create the account with the software first. This is just what we normally do with the account after the fact. Okay, I have another tool to do propagate the recipes. Alrighty, well, certainly free to use that other tool. Let's see. Checking through the questions. Okay. All right. Do you understand what I've said so far regarding the grandparent or outside relative, the parent, and the subreddit? Got a couple yeses. All right, we must be on the right track. Okay. Now let's go back to this diagram for just a minute. You can, any of these can play the role, any of the inside the circle just about can play the role of the external relative for somebody else. So as an example, if you were to take the blogger from the YouTube, which I don't see blogger represented there, but you could have that blogger feeding into the WordPress that was the parent of the site on the far right. And you see where that WordPress is feeding out to another blogger. So how you set these up is entirely up to you. You just have to remember that whatever's outside the circle, be it a WordPress blog or another circle, a property from another circle, that's going to go into the grandparent or other relative field. Okay, whatever's internal to that circle, the parent, in this case, on the far right is WordPress, on the far left is Blogger, and up top is Tumblr. That's going to go into the parent RSS feed. We saw where to get the subreddit, and then whichever one we're working on, we're going to choose the Blogger, the Tumblr, or the WordPress, right? Now, the reason that you actually make this selection is it handles how the feed to that property works, because you wouldn't want to create an infinite loop where you publish something to Blogger and then it says, oh wait, something's been published, and that same thing kept coming back again and again. Kind of technical, but this handles it for you. So you just pick it and you run with it. Okay. Let's see. I'm a semantic mastery member and I've built several IFTTT networks by hand. I'm still puzzled by the subreddit. Why do you need it? Because if you're going to publish to Reddit, Reddit wants to know what category it's supposed to go into. Okay. All right. These buttons, you're welcome. These buttons up here are kind of self-explanatory. After you've created your accounts, you push this button and it adds them to IFTTT. Okay. This is the button we were just dealing with. It gave us this pop-up where we handled this. And this loads public recipes. I'll give you the format for the file in the written documentation. Would you ever have both grandparent and parent RSS feed entered at the same time? Yes, absolutely. All right. I put them, you put them both in always so that your, yes, I would say always, because that's how you're going to connect things, right? Now, say you're talking about your tier 1 property, your property that's connected directly to your blog. Well, your blog, your WordPress site is going to be the grandparent. And the piece that's in the middle is going, the piece it's going to is going to be the parent, and that parent is going to feed out to all of its children. Is that clear? Good. Okay. And so that handles everything except the personalization of the IFTTT portion. The reason I did it like this is because I had some people in the Philippines who were working with it, and after I explained it about 26 times, you can talk yourself in circles and get yourself into trouble. And I says, I have got to make this simpler, and I think this is about as simple as we can get, right? I'm going to go through the settings, and this applies to all of the things that we build accounts for. The email details, if you're using Outlook, it's going to be POP3 with SSL. The server port is going to be 995. The email server is pop-mail.outlook.com. And then you put the email address and the password. And now you can put these in directly. You don't need to wait. I used to say wait on putting the password in, but we've overcome it. Now, once you put all of your information in, go ahead and hit this test button. And what will happen is it's going to go out and it's going to see if it can connect to the mailbox, and it's going to see if there's any mail in there. If it's a brand new account, it's somebody's asking me to scroll to the top. Okay, if it's a brand new account, it's going to say 1 email found, successfully connected. In this case, it says 29 emails found, successfully connected. There is no way for me to scroll this picture. I could shrink it down. Let me try this. Does that make it any better? Okay, I'm getting some more people to say I joined, but still no sound. All right, someone's answering them. Okay, so I'm going to close that. My mail is set up. Now I have to set up my browser settings. If you run the program and you get one browser window popping up after another and they're all blank, this is why you didn't set this up. So we choose the browser, and right now we are only choosing Firefox. Okay. Then you choose the size of the browser you want. So I choose 1024 by 768, but it's really going to depend on your screen. All right. Somebody says, no, this is too small. I don't think this gets bigger if I move it up back to where it was, so the whole screen will get bigger. This is browser position. So I told it 100 by 0. And this is the browser timeout in seconds, and I'm using 9 seconds. All right. I don't need to test it. This test is only going to look to see is Firefox installed. Okay, somebody says that it's fine. There's a zoom in the bottom right. Are we better off when I brought the screen down to the center and then we're using the zoom? Or should we zoom it from up here? What works better? Unfortunately, I don't have your view. Looks okay. Either way is good for me. All right. So that's the browser settings. On CAPTCHA, I'm not going to open this up because I'm not going to expose my account. There's a whole list of CAPTCHAs to choose from, and most operate strictly on username and password. Let's talk about CAPTCHA for just a minute. We all know the problem with the food CAPTCHA. If you have a lot of I'm being asked if you have a lot of add-ons in your Firefox browser, will Buddy use incognito? It doesn't use any of the add-ons in your Firefox browser. It uses the bare minimum of the Firefox browser to do its deal. Can I call in via Skype? No, but you can call in via phone. Yes, everybody else is getting internet audio. All right. The situation with food CAPTCHAs. We bought some code, we rewrote it, we implemented it. Here's what happened. When we put it through the external browser, our success rate dropped to 55%, which I would have considered acceptable because you can just resubmit for the CAPTCHA. When we combine that with going through a proxy, it became dismal. All right. Now we're still working on that issue, and I certainly hope to overcome it, because if I do, some of you have read my post that we can break this down to feeding an RSS file and let it create one set of accounts after another. But that piece has to be working first. All right. And what that means to you right now is I recommend you not use that feature. You're not going to be happy with it. I'm not happy with it. However, if you put in death by CAPTCHA or 2captcha.com, it's going to use the auto solve on those. And as I said, you're not going to be happy with it. So my advice right now is don't use death by CAPTCHA at all. I tried to test 2captcha to see if they were doing better. You see, death by CAPTCHA was sending us bad responses. And I tried to test 2captcha. Their payment processor was happy to accept my money, but then they decided there was something funny about my money. And I guess it's been about 8 days, and I still haven't received my CAPTCHA. Let's see. So right now I'm recommending you use dCAPTCHA. All right. And then we have our proxy settings, where you simply put your proxy in here. Okay. And then you click test. Now, when you click test, it's going to come up with the browser, and it's going to show you what proxy it's using. Notice this proxy is 192.126.192.167. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this test. And here it is. That tells me this is working. Sometimes, for whatever reason, when everything is said and done, it comes back and says, oh, there was a problem with your proxy. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the guy who wrote this piece of it, actually used as a test. But once it's saying proxy is alive, so right now everything's copacetic. But even if it says proxy is dead, if you saw the right proxy come up, that's good enough. Okay, hit the close button. Now, notice I did these in order: email details, browser setting, CAPTCHA settings, and then proxy. If you haven't got your browser settings in, proxy settings isn't going to work. Please post the CAPTCHA you recommend. Personally, I use dCAPTCHA. Okay. Then we go to the account creator section. And the first thing I do when I get here is I click this button that says random details, and it fills in all this information. Now there's a lot of this information you hadn't had to use before, but because we're handling so many accounts, there's stuff that gets asked for. Well, we fill it all out. Then go and take, and you'll get a nifty mail creator from me. You'll go and you'll take your email right out of the file that's created by this external email creator, and you'll copy in the email address and the password the same as you did in setting up your email details. And over here, towards the end, it will give you the IP address. So you'll be using the same IP address to create your accounts that you use to create your mail. And you see it's changed with each one of these, right? Okay. So you change the email, you change the password, you're ready to go. You come down here and you click Select Sites. This is my favorite part. If we say Select All, it's going to select everything that is not a PVA account, right? So it's not selecting the Google accounts, it's not selecting Drupal Gardens, and it's not selecting AppNet. Let's see, anything else? And Facebook. All right. But it's selecting everything else. Now you could go in and manually select these, like so. Right? You can also deselect all. When Holly was promoting this, I heard her say, this is like getting 2 programs in one. Well, Holly is mistaken. This is more like getting 6 programs in one. And to Aladdin, it'll pick the sites for and to Aladdin. HydraVid, you see it turned those others off and it turned the HydraVid on. The same is true of IFTTT, OnlyWire, Social Link Machine version 2, and of course, SendWire. All right, we're going to have a little chat here about PVA accounts. If you are outside of the US and you are using, let me take a drink of water. If you are outside of the US and you are using US proxies and you try to create PVA accounts, here's what's going to happen. Theoretically, you have a phone from where you are. So I'm in Thailand, right? So let's say I generate my number here, or I put a number here, it doesn't matter. These sites will detect that the proxy is in the US, and it will automatically assume a US country code. So that's not going to work. If you're in the US, where do you find that file for account? Okay, hold on a minute. If you're in the U.S. and you're trying to do it, your issue is, do you have enough phone numbers, right? If you got plenty of phone numbers, you can put your phone number in there and do the PVA thing, okay? Sometimes accounts create and don't send you the text back, and that's just them not sending the text where you need to fill in that information. And if they do that, and Facebook was famous for it, that number will get marked as used, and Facebook will say, "Oh, this has already been used. You have to use a different number." All right, just being difficult. Excuse me. So this is why on the PVA accounts I prefer to do them myself. Now, when is a PVA account important? Well, if you're talking about IFTTT or whatever, it really doesn't matter. I believe that PVA is only worth the trouble at the tier 1 level on the branded network. Okay, and the reason being is because the amount of time it takes for you to do PVA in terms of going and verifying with the phone, you could probably put together a couple other sets, right? So yes, for the branded network, the tier 1 network, the primary network that's connected to your money site, yes, go to the trouble of doing the PVA accounts. But I've come to the conclusion that it's not worth it for the secondary accounts. I also want to point something else out on this select sites. There are accounts that are being created that are not listed here. As an example, when you create a Twitter account, it also creates a Buffer account and a Dig account, but it uses the Twitter information to do it. So you don't choose Buffer and Dig here, but they do get created when you do that. When you come over here, if you are creating PVA accounts and use Google accounts, it's going to turn around and create the Blogger account. If you choose Flickr here, which some of the software we support requires Flickr, well, to create a Flickr account, you have to have a Yahoo account. So it will create a Yahoo account so that it can create a Flickr account. Somebody asked the questions, where do you find that file for account details? And I'm assuming you're talking about this email file here. Is that correct? Okay. We have a mail creator we'll be providing you with, and it will show up in the directory of that mail creator in a file called output.csv. I'm going to hit the close button on this. All right. Then we go ahead and we hit the Create Accounts button. If we purchased Age, Twitter, Blogger, Weebly, Tumblr accounts, how do you put in those account details? Good question. All right. So here's what you do. And the easiest way to remember this is when you're working on one of these families, just the family, right? This is central to everything you're doing. The family is always central to everything you're doing. That is the information that goes in this account section. And into IFTTT to add this stuff and to add it into SendWire, all you need, the only fields you have to have, we're talking about adding it, the account's already created, is the email, the username, the password, and this URL. Now, when you hit random details, this URL comes out with a full-blown URL, and that's incorrect. This is actually the subdomain portion of a subdomain. So if you had a subdomain called bicycles.sportingequipment.com, this would be bicycles, and there are 4 or 5 properties that actually use that value. So if you purchase those, this is how you add it. Now, hopefully, you got entire sets that were done, and so this information is the same. If this information isn't the same, we can import it for SendWire. I'll cover that in a minute, and I can certainly write a process to import it for IFTTT. Does that answer your question? Moving on. When we push this button, create accounts, what happens is every single account, one at a time, pops up with a Firefox window, and I'm going to demonstrate this. Now, we'll set it up so that you don't have to manually import them into IFTTT. All right. So, will this work without proxies and not affect the output.csv? Well, if you don't use proxies, your file, your output.csv is only going to end up with a couple of emails before Outlook has shut you down. Okay. When we hit create accounts, the browser is going to pop up one screen at a time, and it's going to be creating one account at a time. It goes through the manual CAPTCHA solves first, and then it tells you all the manual CAPTCHA solves are done. Go have yourself a cup of coffee, and it will take care of the rest. Okay? Once all of that is done, we're going to come down here and we're going to click confirm emails. Now, this information that's in here, this is real information. And those of you who were watching the screen prior to the meeting, you saw a lot of accounts being created. And I've tried to avoid running a lot of this stuff live because it's just time consuming. But on the confirm emails, when you click this, you're going to get some messages here. And if those messages, if you get a message that says 0 emails found, you do not have the right information in the email details of settings. Okay, your information here is wrong because you're not connecting to the server. There's a couple of other things I want to show you that don't have anything to do with the program. But they are important nonetheless. Here's one of them. I've already moved them out, but there will be a number of emails that show up in junk. And when they do, you need to click on junk, and then you right-click on it and choose the button that says not junk. Okay? That'll move it back to the inbox. If it's in junk, the email cannot be verified. Okay? The other piece is, and the software does this for you, but if you manually created your Outlook account, here's the other place that people get bit. You need to go over here to this gear wheel on the right-hand side, click on it, go down and choose Options. And then over here on the left, you're going to choose Connect Devices and Apps with POP. By default, this is disabled. You need to enable it, save it, and then the program can talk to your Outlook account. Otherwise, Outlook blocks it. All right, somebody says, what is the recommended maximum number of sets per proxy? A good rule of thumb that I follow is one set per proxy per day. It would not be unreasonable to come back just about every day and create a whole nother set with each IP. You'll know when you've overdone it because you'll start getting account rejections. But at one set per IP a day, I haven't had any problems. Okay. So we go through and we've confirmed our emails. Then I use this save load profile. I'm going to show you how to do this. To save it, you just click save. And it says profile is saved, and it tells you where it's saved to. All right. And it goes into a folder called profiles wherever you've installed Buddy Enterprise. All right. And it saves it to the last name. We used to go to the desktop. Now we're going to a place where we don't have to mess up your desktop. Then when you want to reload that profile, you simply type that name where it says enter last name, click load profile, and it brings it back into these fields. Okay. What is the official support email? The official support email is support@conciergeoutsourcing.com. One set is an entire group of accounts. In other words, when you have that Outlook email, you can create an entire group of accounts around that. So think of it this way. One Outlook email to one IP each day. When I was talking about if they did come up with the same last name, it would get overwrote. If you're worried about that, move it into another folder. It's an imperfect world. All right. Something else I noticed is when we automatically generate these usernames, sometimes that username has been generated by somebody somewhere before in some kind of program, and you'll get an account error. It'll say, I can't use that username, it's been used before. Now, if you're lucky, it'll happen to you on Bitly, and because Bitly is the first one that's run. And so what you do is you go up and you change the username immediately, let the rest of your accounts run, they'll use the new username, and then grab Bitly again at the end. Someone asks, why is the default email system Outlook? I'll give you two reasons for that. One, because we created an Outlook email creator for this. Number two, when you do IFTTT, there are, depending on what your email is, you can pick up some free accounts. So when I talked about how many accounts this creates in total, if you use Outlook to create your IFTTT, then when you go in and you want to use OneNote or OneDrive, it'll give you those accounts automatically. And so we go ahead and add those to your list of accounts. Now, the same could be said for Gmail. If you were logged into Gmail, you would automatically pick up the Blogger. But Outlook, with our tool, we don't need to phone verify. So for us, it's a better choice than, say, Google would be. But you don't have to use Outlook. You can use anything you want. Somebody says, what if you want to create a branded network for your tier one, which is what Bradley recommends? Well, I think we talked about branded networks just a few minutes ago when we said it is the only place that I think you should go to the trouble of doing the PVA. But then I still do, when I do those, I do my PVA manually. Because in my situation, if I'm using a US proxy, it's going to try to dial the number as a US number. Valerie does, I think that's Valerie. I can't read the name. It's got a terrible green on this. Try highlighting it, see if it makes it any easier to read. Hey, Valerie, does that answer your question? Yes, the entire family, one family, your tier 1 is branded, and those are the ones that you're going to want to go and put a photograph where you can and descriptions where you can and make them look as legitimate as possible. No, I can't. Somebody's asking, can I tell you where to get profile pictures? The guy who is putting out, what is the name of that product? Browsio. The guy who's putting out Browsio says he knows a place where you can get multiple pictures of the same person, which would look even more real. And I asked him where that was, but the address he sent me, I couldn't find it. So I'm going to have to go back and ask him again. So this system is more for the tier 2 networks. Well, there's no reason that you can't create your tier 1 with it, but you're going to go in fact, I create my tier 1 with it. But you go in and do more personalization. Now, in the future, we plan on doing the personalization automatically. But if we waited to get everything into the program that I would like to get into the program to make it perfect, I'd probably die of old age before you ever saw it. You know, I haven't done a comparison between people's names and keyword-rich names. Here's the thing. I think a lot of the deletions are luck of the draw. Somebody said to me recently, and their statement wasn't accurate, but what they said was that all automated tools failed with Tumblr. That Tumblr got deleted right away, and I didn't have an opportunity right when they were saying it to go check the veracity of it. But the following day, I went back and I looked at a Tumblr that I had created about a week before, and had done nothing with it. Nothing. I mean, didn't do anything to the profile. Hadn't put any content on it. It was just there, and it was still good. All right, it was still fine. Other times you can do that and Tumblr will come through and wipe it out. I'm not sure that Tumblr even looks. I think there's just a percentage of stuff that they come in and they wipe out, and then if you complain, they turn around and give it back to you, some of them. Others say, oh, sorry, please feel free to do it again. I don't know that they're really smart enough to figure out what's truly legit and what's not. Okay, so let's go over here into the SendWire section. And I just want to go over this briefly so that there's no confusion here. SendWire login details, we all know how this works. I'm not going to click on it because I'm not going to expose my account. All right. Upload SendWire accounts is the accounts that you just created that you want to upload, right? You click it, it does the job. You'll see it in the window down below. If you see a green bar appear in the browser in the upper left and it says account has been added successfully, you know it's working. Now, One thing I will say is that it logs in faster than it gets started to add the accounts, and the emails have to be confirmed before it can add the accounts most times. Import accounts to SendWire. This is where I gave you a file format that if you had stuff, you could put into that format and it will upload them into SendWire, and it doesn't care where the accounts came from, etc., and it handles them one at a time. Now, somebody was kind enough the other day to give me a file format for FCS. And so we wrote an import to the FCS file to automatically take it in. I'm probably going to turn around and port both of those over to IFTTT so that you can get your accounts into there the same way. Rankways, the file format is, it's not friendly to what we do. All right, let's see. Still some people having trouble with audio. FCS Networker. It's another tool to help you publish out to Web 2.0s. The big question, when will we get our hands on BE? Okay. We have to issue all of the licenses out to get this to you. I'm going to do probably 2 days of entering people's licenses in and doing a final audit, because there are just in the account buttons that you push, not counting the extra accounts that we create, there's I think there's about 48 buttons, 47 buttons, something like that. Let's see, 48 buttons. So there's at least 48 accounts we need to make sure are all working properly. Those of you with some experience with Web 2.0 know that these things change constantly, and I'd like to, at least when I put it in your hand, say, this morning, every one of them worked perfectly. Okay. Any idea when there will be an import to IFTTT? Within a week of when I get your license to you, I can implement that. Is that fast enough for you? Okay. So, under utilities, somebody pointed out a problem to me earlier. This is where we export all accounts to CSV, and we do it from a database. And we do it based on, we don't put it into the database unless we're sure the account was created. Well, like everything else, all they have to do is change one little element. You know, let's just say that we're looking for the words account successfully created, because that's what they were last week. Well, this week they say, congratulations, you have a new account. And we don't see the words we're looking for. It doesn't go into the database. So this is going to be part of that audit, where we're going to have to go through and make sure that every time an account is created, it's actually making it into the database. But once you do, we are exporting it to the CSV. Now, the next button that we're going to add on this screen will be export to an FCS CSV, so that you can take what we have over to FCS, hopefully, and import it. See, I don't use FCS. I don't know if they have an import process. But if it's the same file format, we'll be producing that file. Good. Someone tells me they do. We'll be producing that file so that you can send it out. All right. On the About button, I'm going to add the links to the training, the updates, the release notes, all that kind of stuff, so you know where to find them. Is there a Facebook group for SendWire Buddy, Enterprise? There is a Facebook group at SendWire Buddy Support. And for everybody who has SendWire Buddy that isn't going to update, and I don't know why you wouldn't, right? I mean, in a worst case scenario, somebody could be paying $50. Let me tell you that everybody on all 6 products is going to get Buddy Enterprise. What you folks are getting is Buddy Enterprise Ultimate Edition, all right? What other people in the future, so you understand how this is broken up, is people will get Buddy Enterprise and Aladdin Edition, Buddy Enterprise Hyderabad Edition, Buddy Enterprise IFTTT Edition, Buddy Enterprise Only Wire Edition, Buddy Enterprise SLMV2 Edition, and Buddy Enterprise SendWire Only Edition. And the reason being is because maintaining so many different pieces of software would be a major pain in the rear end. So what I figured out is, I figured out how I can keep from creating the accounts for stuff that people aren't paying for, and how I can lock out the tabs on the left that they're not supposed to have access to. Somebody says, what happens if you don't have the proxy you created the email with anymore and you're creating the accounts? You do the best you can. The reason we try to use the same proxy is so that we don't raise any flags with Microsoft and Outlook, right? Or whoever it is, whoever's email we're creating. You do the best you can. I have the same proxies now that I was using back in June, right? But maybe next month I'll have different proxies. My idea is to get everything created, all of your network created, get it approved, registered with IFTTT and SendWire, and then I don't have to deal with them anymore. They're authenticated in those systems, right? But until I get them authenticated in those systems, I try to stay on the same IP. And I may have to go back and replace something. If I have to replace something on another IP, then that's what I have to do. Do I have a recommended proxy company? Personally, I like Squid proxies. They work very well for me. But when you get proxies from Squid Proxy, you're going to get a certain number of them that are from Romania. And so then you're going to contact Squid Proxy and you're going to say, please take these Romanian proxies out and give me only proxies from North America. And they come back and they say, well, we only have one IP block in Canada. And that's when you have to remind them that the United States is part of North America. Any other questions? Okay, somebody says you can get 10 dedicated proxies for $16. I use a code, capital BHW as in Black Hat World, capital BHW promo, and it gets me 30% off. I think that's what the person must be doing to get it for $16. Personally, I have 50, and it costs me $60 and change a month. I'm going to put that code in here. Can I recap what the chart of families mean? Well, Let's see. To make it easy to understand, these center people are parents. Everybody inside are their children, their family members. The people outside the circles are members of their extended family. They may be their grandparents, they may be their cousins, but they're not a member of the immediate family. And so if you want to talk to somebody who's not a member of your immediate family, you have to use RSS. Does Buddy Enterprise work with Win 10? I honestly do not know. I don't have any feedback. I have read about people having trouble with bots in general in Windows 10, but I don't know. Show us a YouTube setup. Well, all you do for a YouTube setup is use the public recipes. So you can have a list of public recipes, and I'll give you some files with lists of them. But all you're going to do is you're going to click this button that says Load Public Recipes. And when you do, see it comes down here, it's going through the proxy, and then it's going to pop a little box up. I'm hoping I didn't shoot myself in the foot. It's logging you in, and it's going to pop a little box up and ask you where this file is. Now I will do a video. I will do a video of actual account creation. Well, that didn't do what I expected it to do. It didn't pop up my little box. I will do a video of actual account creation so that you can see me going through the process. Do you need IFTTT SEO Academy? No. There are a lot of good tips and whatnot in information that Bradley puts out in his basic IFTTT course. But it's really kind of simple. I mean, the way the software is set up, it's really kind of simple. Make a little note on where's my box for loading my file. We just, in the last 48 hours, put this interface to the software. The software itself is about, I think it's 11,400 some odd lines of code, and about 3,500 lines of it is the interface. And so I was going through and doing an audit today, and oh yes, here's this little tweak, oh yes, here's that, and here's one I missed. When will we get BE? Will it be as an update to Cineware Buddy or as a separate program? Okay, Buddy Enterprise is a separate program. People who only have Cineware Buddy will be getting Buddy Enterprise Cinewire Edition. You don't need to worry about that. I'm sure you're part of the group that, you know, you paid the $147, so you'll get Ultimate Edition anyway. And I'll go ahead and tell you now, this wasn't part of my original plan, but I am going to go ahead, when I set up the licensing for this, for the Ultimate Edition, I'm going to set it up so that it allows 2 installs. Yeah, Rebel Mouse is one of the accounts we do. You're welcome. The early adopters who paid $97, there's a $50 upgrade fee. How many installs? 2. I should have, I had a PayPal link that I put in the files section for the beta testers months ago. I probably should have had it ready for this, but I wanted to make this entirely about education, not about sales. I'll post it in the file section of SendWire Buddy support again. Yeah, contact me. Yeah, I want to. There's part of me that doesn't want to say anything, but I guess I'm going to, right? There are folks out there that do group buys, and I'll turn around and I'll get asked for a number of reinstalls. You know, I've got a problem, blah blah blah. I need to reinstall, and I've tried to turn a blind eye to it. But for those of you who are in SendWire Black, one of those people who is a member of a group buy turned out to be a real jerk. And if we identify that group buy, we're going to be issuing them a refund. Okay, I want to cover something. I'm still involved with VAs, but we haven't been taking on new clients in some time. Someone says, I am not an IM newbie, but the learning curve seems very steep. How long do you think it takes to get confident on this product? About 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick demonstration a few minutes from now to show you. When you say on this product, do you mean in doing SendWire accounts or doing the IFTTT thing or the whole piece? Because SendWire and just creating all of the accounts, just to create all the accounts, it really should not take you more than about 5-10 minutes to have it mastered. Okay, the IFTTT, another 10 minutes. I really work to make this simple. Maybe I just don't explain it well. When will we be able to download the latest working version again? We'll be putting this. We've got to do your licensing, but I think we'll be in a position for you to download this in a couple of days. What are my thoughts on Browsio? Quite honestly, I like the concept. I like what he does overall. I think the product is getting a lot of buzzers and bells beyond what, you know, my initial love of it is. For those of you who don't know, what he basically has is the ability to create a separate instance of your browser for each profile. And so no matter what, you always look the same to the accounts you're talking to, even if you've cleaned all your cookies, because it holds that same piece. And then he's got a part where he can take that profile and you can send it to your outsource worker. And now when your outsource worker works on those accounts, it looks like it's the same person. Now he goes way beyond this, but this is the core functionality that I really like. I don't know what his pricing is going to be. He's passed me this in beta, and because you guys have been waiting, I have not had a chance to play with it. You swap out someone swaps out virtual servers. If I get to a point where I suspect it's a group buy, then what I'm going to do is offer to go in and do it for you. Or even better, simply replace your license. Replacing your license is the easier thing. I don't think, if somebody wants to know how long is it going to take to master this, the whole thing. I don't really think that anybody should have to invest more than an hour to know every feature and function that this thing will do and use it competently. It's not tough. I really have simplified it, especially once you see, account creation in action. The toughest part is knowing when to sit on your hands and when to click the mouse. Will our beta licenses still work, or do we need to be patient and wait for? You need to be patient and wait for the new one, because I'm going through an audit during those next 2 days as well. Yes, I have. This person pissed me off so bad. I considered replacing everybody's SendWire Buddy license. I mean, I just really. Why? Thank you. You who thinks it's an awesome product that I can't read your. Oh, you didn't put your name. Windows 7, it'll work. WinServer 2008. You can't run it on XP. As far as Windows 8, I've used it on Windows 8. I haven't tried it on Windows 10. I like Windows 7 the best. Make sure you have .NET 4.5.2 installed. Forget Vista. Most people here probably don't even know what Vista is. It was such a piece of crap. Sorry, that's the extrovert in me. You see, introverts think about what they're going to say before they say it. Extroverts think about what they're going to say as they're saying it. Windows 10, I don't know. I bought an HP Mini. I don't know if you guys have seen those. They're about the size of a cereal bowl. Very cool. Unfortunately, they're only an i3. At least that's all they are here in Thailand. And it's due to get a free upgrade to Windows 10, and I'm waiting for them to notify me that it's my turn. Once they do that, then I'll be testing it on Windows 10. You're welcome. Do you use a VPS to run this on a Mac? If you've got a Mac that connects to a Windows VPS, yes. I haven't heard anybody successfully using Parallels. And the reason being is because the Parallels doesn't really take advantage of the .NET 4.5.2. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I love that. Mac guy bought a PC just for this software. Well, if you go back in history, and I've been in computers since 1980. If you go back in history, you'll remember that Bill Gates and Steve Jobs didn't work well together either. When and where will the recording be? I don't even know how I get this recording down from Join Me, but when I do, I will probably post it to YouTube. I also have some premium video hosting that I haven't taken advantage of yet that gets rid of all of the lag, you know, if you want to skip ahead. And I'll see about posting it there as well. Whatever I do, I will put it in the SendWire Buddy support group and all of the places I usually post to when I post there. The SendWire Buddy support group is on Facebook. Has anyone else recorded this as well? Yeah, Bradley had, probably still does, a basic IFTTT course for $37. That was pretty good. It was pretty good. And if you just want to see how recipes are put together and whatnot, that, you know, it's $37 well spent. Somebody did try to record it, so we'll see. Any other questions? Somebody else has a recorded version. Well, folks, thank you for coming. And I will be in touch shortly, and support@conciergeoutsourcing.com sent my email back. I don't know what that's about. I will tell you that we did just move servers. I went from I had a hosting company I was happy with for the most part. I had 118 gigs of SSD storage space, and I needed more. I was already using 97, and I called them up, and I'd been to their homepage, and I says, I've been to their homepage, and I looked at their most powerful server, and I saw all these coupons that said expired. So I called them up, and I said, what's the best deal you have on such and such server? And the answer I got was, all of our pricing is on, and I told them, I said, by the way, I'm a managed VPS customer. And they said, all of our pricing is on the website, and we don't negotiate on price. And I wasn't quite sure if I had outgrown them or not, but I was pretty sure they had outgrown me. So I changed. With that, folks, I'm going to end this webinar. You all know how to reach me on Skype if you have any other questions. Have a wonderful night.